A century ago, the 1920s were a time of wealth, lavishnesses, and jazz bands, a decade commonly known as the Raccoon Coat 20s, or the Roaring Twenties. Unfortunately, this great time was short-lived when the catastrophic stock market crash of October 29, 1929, marked the end of an era of prosperity. A worldwide economic downturn lasted until about 1939, making the 1930s known today as the Great Depression. This led to another decade of devastation, known today as the war years of the 1940s. As we enter the 1950s, we return to a decade of growth and prosperity. With the growing economy and technology, electric appliances skyrocketed. Radio and television became part of household essentials. And of course, the great age of the automobile, making the decade known today as the fabulous 50s. But in this video, I want to discuss watches from the 1950s, Omega watches, and more specifically, fancy lugs Omega watches from this decade. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Timeless History channel with me, Deric, aka Sal, the Omega Enthusiast. The 1950s was a decade of innovation and creativities in the Omega watch market, where many new models and designs were introduced, such as the Omega Constellation introduced in 1952, the first Seamaster with a calendar feature, and the launch of the 1957 Trilogy featuring the Seamaster 300, Railmaster, and Speedmaster. However, I would like to share 5 vintage Omega watches from the 1950s with unique case lugs. So without further ado, let's begin this episode. Beefy lugs, lie lugs, and straight lugs were common lug types throughout the 1950s. So let's begin with the first piece featuring this rare straight horn lugs similar to those on an African antelope. This Omega watch under case reference CK2597 dates to 1951. It's one of the most extraordinary Omega timepieces when it is in great shape. It comes in several different case material and dial variation. The correct original crown on this reference is the clover type, like those on the beefy Seamaster models. The case dimensions are 33.7mm across, excluding the crown, by 44.8mm from lug to lug. The case lug width is 18mm. Even though it is not a Seamaster model, the watch has moisture protection features like those on a Seamaster watch. That includes a crystal with a metal tension ring, a crown with a gasket, and a gasket in the case. Unscrew open the back, and inside is an Omega caliber 351 automatic movement. The second piece is an uncommon Omega watch with rhinoceros or rhino ear lugs. On the case reference CK2715. It was launched in 1953 and lasted until sometime in 1954. With a short production span, it is a reference you seldom see in the watch community. Similar to the previous piece, it also exists in several case materials and dial variations. But of course, the dial variation on this piece is truly phenomenal and rare. The original hand-wind dome crown is signed and has a knurl for easy grips. This case reference measures 34.5mm across, excluding the crown, by 42.6mm from lug to lug. The case lug width is 18mm. It also carries a crystal with a metal tension ring, a crown gasket, and a case with a gasket for moisture prevention. Unscrew the back, and inside is a manual wind Omega caliber 420 movement with a center second feature. If you enjoy what is featured so far, please give this video a thumbs up. This third piece with Sika horn lugs is exclusively made for the US market. It is a chronometer grade Seamaster under reference CK2989, produced in 1958. I am uncertain why it was only released for a year and discontinued, as this timepiece looks attractive and would be outlandish if Omega reissued it in the future. Inside the snap-on case back, you'll notice that it has double sign references. And that's because the non-chronometer version under reference 2984 is produced for the international market. This case reference measures 34 millimeters across, excluding the crown, by 42.5 millimeters from lug to lug. The case lug width is 18 millimeters. It carries the same 10-sided or pie-pan crown as a Constellation from the same era. The chronometer version only exists in solid steel and has a jumbo sea serpent emblem back. As this is a Seamaster watch, we know the crown and case carry a gasket and the crystal has a metal tension ring. Snap open the back, and inside is a 24 joules chronometer grade Omega caliber 505 automatic movement. The non-chronometer version carries a caliber 501 with 20 joules. Watch number 4 with American Bison horn lugs from 1957, the most common piece in this video, under model reference CK14363. This reference is not highly sought after, but to me it is one of my all-time favorite Seamaster models. For some reason, I am allured to those fancy lugs. The reference is available in all case material, and the correct original crown is the clover type, like the one you see on this watch. The Seamaster Deluxe measures 34.5 millimeters across, excluding the crown, by 43.5 millimeters from lug to lug. The case lug width is 18 millimeters wide. This case design has two versions. The first generation has a bumper automatic movement, while this second generation version has an Omega caliber 501 regular automatic movement. You can learn more about these watches in my channel's playlist. This last piece with Impala antler or spider leg lugs is considered a jumbo-size vintage watch under reference CK2603 and dates to 1950. It is a gorgeous timepiece but too big for my small wrist. Omega only produced this reference in solid steel. However, because it carries a regular dome crystal and the case does not carry a gasket, it is common to find this watch with a poor condition dial. One thing to observe is that the watch carries its original hermetic crown, as it is difficult to obtain one. This model measures 37.5 millimeters across, excluding the crown, by 44.3 millimeters from lug to lug. Even though it is a jumbo-size watch, the lug to lug is actually shorter than the first piece. The case lug width is 20 millimeters wide. Snap open the case back, and inside is an Omega caliber 265 manual wind movement with 15 joules. These are only 5 of many international references with fancy case lugs. If you fall in love with one of these pieces, consider making it your New Year resolution to track one down in 2025. These are fantastic vintage Omega watches from the 1950s. As always, I hope you have learned something new. Thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel financially, and thank you everyone for watching. I look forward to teaching you something new in the following episode.